Yeah.
Good evening and welcome to the Audit and Administration Committee meeting. Today is June 23rd, 2025. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Legislator Crowley, would you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Legislator Birmingham.
Here.
Legislator Crowley.
Present.
Chairwoman Sage.
Present. Agenda item number 3 is acceptance of minutes for January 27th, 2025. Moving on to agenda item number 4. This is correspondence from the county auditor. The first is the sales tax report. We had a negative balance for April, May, from last year, but we have notes that say one more payment is due at the end of June, so that should even up our sales tax. As of FYI, our sales tax for the month of May that was reported was $6,559,264. We're expecting one more payment for sales tax at the end of June. Any questions or comments from the committee, any legislators, or the public? Okay, moving on to OTV report. Again, this is, I don't really have much of an OTV, so it is what it is. 4C is the board in revenue report. We have an increase in board in revenue. We received some correspondence from the Sheriff's Department previously that we're expecting an increase in people being held in the Putnam County jail. So it looks like we had a pop up in our May numbers, 79,000, so we're about $6,300 over budget, which is a good thing. Questions, comments from anyone? Okay. Agenda item, let's see. 6D is a transfer revenue report. This is for an FYI. Just make sure you review it. 4E is the subcontingency report. Contingency is subcontingency report. This is FYI. Please review it. Agenda item number 5. Tonight before us we have a presentation regarding Putnam County Golf Course from Commissioner of Finance Mike Lewis and Commissioner of BGS John Tully. Welcome, thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
could I just make a disclosure? Some of the bonds that the Commissioner and the Director are going to be talking, the Commissioners, I guess, the Commissioner is going to be talking about are bonds for which my firm served as bond counsel back in the 2015 area, and I don't necessarily see any conflict at all, but I understand there's not going to be any vote taken on it anyway. So I just wanted to make that as full disclosure. We are no longer bond counsel for the county. We have a great firm of Barclay Damon, and they're serving us well. And to the extent there is any participation from me, I'll be voting or acting merely as a legislator, not in any other capacity.
Thank you for that. Okay, I will leave
Great.
the floor to Commissioner Lewis.
Great, well, first
How are you?
off, great, Madam Chair, how are you? Thank you,
Great.
guys. My apologies, I'm getting over a cold, so bear with me on this one. I'm sorry. With that said, thank you for taking the time to listen to our, I don't want to say presentation, I'm just hoping that it's a discussion at this point. As we all have talked about and what the administration has talked about in their State of the County, we have an opportunity as of January 15th of next year to refinance the governmental bonds that we took out years ago when we purchased the Lake McGregor golf course. We purchased those that land that property back in December of 2003 using tax-exempt bonds. Subsequent to that, those bond proceeds, the IRS came out with what they called the safe harbor provisions. I'm not an expert in IRS publications. You need a PhD to read those things, but what I can tell you in the Cliff Note version is that it's limited our structure of how we use the government entity bonds really for like a private entity. And with that said, there's restrictions on the current vendor that we have, which is Homestyle, and in the future if we continue with Homestyle or not. If we were to redeem the portion of this particular general obligation, or, and I'm going to go into further detail, if we take the opportunity to fully pay this outstanding bond, this will alleviate us from a lot of things. It'll alleviate us from liability. It'll alleviate Homestyle or the future vendor. The restrictions to, take tax credits and stuff like that as a business. And I just think that right now we have a really good, we have a good fiscal position, good fiscal health. Obviously, a lot of dialogue when we talked about the sales tax most recently. And I had a conversation with the administration. As you could see in the memo that I wrote to the county executive, I proposed a couple of scenarios. One, like I said, one scenario was to partially refund the bond, which would be approximately $1,734,000 in principal, and we would save approximately $175,000 in interest. If we were to go with scenario 2 in the memo, we would pay the entirety of $4.75 million, and we would save the county $477,000. In addition, we started taking proactive roles last year in our audit, where we put aside money, assigned money called a callable bond, and this was for the purpose. So currently, right now, we have $3 million set aside. We're working with our audit team as we speak. When we present the audit to you guys within the next month or two, there'll probably be an additional up to $2 million put in that assigned bucket, which will give you up to $5 million, which will totally cover the pay down. To me, to demonstrate good, fiscal, health, and to demonstrate future fiscal health, I think this is a great opportunity to pay this bond off. And, just to give you some numbers, at the end of 2024, we have $34 million in outstanding debt. At the end of 2025, we'll have paid down another $5.3 million to make it about $28,690,000. At the end of 2026, we have scheduled on principal of $4,450,000 to make it $24 million. If we decide to pay the entire bond at another $4.7 million, we'll have underneath $20 million of outstanding bond principal. And I think that's just fantastic. I mean, for a county and budget of our size, it's like less than 3% of your net debt limit. I mean, we pretty much have no debt on the books when you look at comparatively to other counties or any other municipalities. Very good fiscal health. So
That's total debt? I mean, if we paid that off, that would be the only debt we would carry in Putnam County would be the...
it would be $19 million, and that's assuming no, no further bond issuance. I mean, I'm not saying that we're not going to do that. I mean, if the interest rates come down, maybe in the future we will for other capital projects, but, I mean, this would be a considerable amount, and it's within our purview to do it. The reason why I wanted to have a discussion item with you guys tonight is, as you know, number one, we're going into the 2026 budget. So I need to know, I mean, I know the position of the administration. I would need to know the position of, obviously, the legislature. What scenario, what appetite you guys would have for this. One of the other things is it's all about timing. I have to let the bond counsel / depository trust company know by no later than November 15th of 2026, which is 60 days before the redemption date, which is January 15th of 2026. So, with the budget and holidays and all this other stuff, I just wanted to throw it on the table for discussion, and hopefully by next month at this time, for the August full, or no later than the September full, have a bond resolution, a resolution giving myself, the administration, the authority to go forth and pay down this debt. I have Commissioner Tully with me as well, because he was here as long as I'm just teasing. But there's also the RFP process that's coming with this.
Right.
Go ahead.
I could talk to that a little bit. In addition to the milestones that Mike mentioned with respect to the timing of paying off the debt, if that's the direction that we go in, we would also have a parallel set of milestones for issuing an RFP that would be consistent with the new terms of the tax-exempt bonds being paid off. When the tax-exempt bonds are paid off, it introduces more opportunities for the county from a procurement perspective and potential benefits. Now, that said, we have already extended our agreement with the current operator at the property. They had a 5-year extension that we exercised that 5-year extension, but with the caveat that should the legislature and the county executive agree to pay off the tax-free municipal bonds and forego those safe harbor provisions, that we would be issuing a new RFP, and the current operator would certainly have an opportunity to present their proposal along with anyone else. So that's kind of like where we're at from a procurement perspective. We already started working on some of the terms and conditions of what that RFP would look like. I wasn't thinking we would get into that discussion tonight, but just wanted to give you a flavor for how the decision that Mike has presented to you impacts the direction that we would want to go in, such that, just notice now the January date that Mike mentioned is a rather good date, in that the golf season really doesn't go into full swing until late March, early April, certainly in the Northeast.
Unintended with the swing.
Swing, full swing, no pun intended. I don't think Paul Eldridge would be proud. But so we could, if the timeframes that Mike mentioned works with the legislature, and you're interested in supporting the same concept through resolution, I think that would be all the assurance that I would need to issue an RFP that would be consistent with the new terms. Although those new terms couldn't technically be in effect until the debt was paid off. We have an operator, and we don't have to cancel that agreement. If we do a new RFP and the terms are favorable and we like them, then we can award under the new RFP. So I think the county is in a very good position to see if this would be in our best interest. And I think there were some other things that we've been involved in lately that would be very favorable to the county if we were to go out to RFP. The amount of involvement that the county would have on that property, a lot of the operational control and other instances could be put right on a private sector vendor in a way that it can't be done today under the existing agreement. So I think there's at least one vendor out there that likes the idea and the opportunity to present under this new scenario, if given the chance.
That was going to be the question I was going to ask, if you would give us an example of how the RFP could change. I mean, not that we would know exactly what the terms are, but it would just open it up to a vendor who can run
So
it.
the best way that I could describe it is probably maybe better described by Mike, but the whole cash handling and the review that has to be done of the inventory that's over there is owned by the county. Both food and beverage, pro shop inventory, all of that is property of the county. Under a new scenario, that would be the property of the vendor. And the transactions and the inventory control and the internal controls associated with all of those assets, we would no longer have to be concerned with. If all the cash handling would be the responsibility of that private sector entity. They would be making their payment to the county, whatever we agreed to, as long as they made that payment on a monthly basis or whatever term we intended. That would be the extent of our transaction.
Be very-
Unless we agreed otherwise to certain, capital investments or things of that nature, which we could also put into the solicitation or ask for proposals that take that into account.
So
It
I
would be
know
I
this,
think it would be very similar to Tilly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would be. The golf course has probably a few more cost centers that we have over at the golf course. We have an agreement with a golf course management company that's responsible for the pro shop, the rounds, and generating the income from the rounds of golf. But they're also responsible for the maintenance of the course. Then you have a food and beverage contractor, different than the golf contractor, and we have a third-party management contract with an entity that is to protect our interests and make sure that those two other contractors are playing nice in the sandbox, so to speak, and that they're coordinating events and all things together. The food and beverage also has like an enterprise that they do, as everybody knows, with the entertainment, which is not typical, but has been well received, and it adds to our bottom line over at the golf course. So those are all factors that we would take into consideration when issuing a new RFP, because unless I'm told otherwise, it seems that everything that's happening right now has kind of set the bar for how we like that property to produce for the county. I just think that the financial aspect of it would be better for the county if the bonds were paid off.
so I know
But it
that
remains to be seen.
the vendor that we use for food and beverage is also the same vendor that does Westchester County Center, which is a Westchester County property.
Yep, Westchester
So,
County Center, and a couple golf courses in Westchester,
Yeah.
and a few other properties.
I'm just wondering if the agreement would be similar, is that a similar agreement? Something along, I mean, not that we would issue the same RFP, but is it a similar arrangement?
We
We'd
could.
have to,
We will certainly look at all of
I'd
those.
like to see the comparisons.
Yeah, not every property is created equal, right?
Well, yeah,
So,
Westchester County
yeah,
Center is different than
it's a little
Putnam.
bit different. Even the demand for golf in Westchester is higher than in Putnam because of how densely populated it is. But I think we've already gotten copies of those requests for proposals and contracts that are with Westchester County, and we will extract language that we feel should be incorporated into ours, but I'll work with the law department on the terms and conditions and make sure that we're on good legal grounds to do so.
Legislator Crowley. I just think you have a Chairwoman Sage. I just had a question. If we change the mechanics of that, how would that affect our, just saying, if we currently hold the liquor license, right? The county does. Would that be encumbered now upon Homestyle? And would that be something they have to apply for if we move forward with this? And would it have to be planned for?
That would be a consideration, but along with that, the county then potentially sheds some liability associated with
Agreed.
being on the liquor license.
So the planning is instrumental with that too, in order to continue
Absolutely.
to serve.
And it's not something that we haven't gone
To
through
serve the
before.
constituents
Yeah.
in the same capacity that we are.
Yeah, yeah. I did have a couple.
And that would also, when we change over at Tilly, do that, we haven't done that yet, although it was, right? We don't hold, we still hold liquor license for that as well.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I'll find out for you.
Because that would be a great thing, I think
Yeah.
personally, if we were no longer,
Party to
liable
that.
for, yeah.
Anyone else in the committee? Legislator Bianchi.
Going back to the original proposal about paying off the bonds, 4.75 million, is that the
Correct.
number what we're talking about? Just a month or two ago, we were talking about sales tax. And I heard argument after argument about how, and we were talking about 0.25% that we wouldn't take, of revenue that we wouldn't take in future years. And that was the equivalent of about $5 million a year. And I heard members of the legislature speak about the sky potentially falling and the economy crashing, and that it would be irresponsible for us to cut the sales tax because of the shortfall in revenue that we wouldn't be taking in the future. How do we justify this? This is 4.75 million. I assume it's coming out of the unassigned fund balance?
Well, we already have 3 million already assigned, and we're in a position to put an additional $2 million based on the unaudited, the unfinished audit report. So that would be the $5 million. This would be a one-shot deal, and ultimately it would free up, you would save almost about $500,000 in interest, and it could help us with our bond rating, and just free us up to reinvest that money in the future for other capital projects.
I support this, but I also supported the sales tax cut because we do have 90 million approximately in unassigned fund balance.
And it's all, when we're done with the audit, it'll be
90 million.
Yep.
What's a safe number to have in the unassigned fund balance? Is there a number, is there any number that
Well,
you're not?
we have again, I think it's well documented that we have a very, healthy financial position. So, after the sales tax, debate, I thought that this would be a great opportunity to, properly, spend some of this fund balance down, but it's helping us, bring down our overall debt. So I think it's a fiscally responsible way of using down the money.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. And I would also agree with biting into that 90 million to pay down the other 19 million or so of debt that you said we had.
Well, so here's the thing, you can't prepay the other debt. Right as of now, this is the only one that's considered callable.
Okay.
Where you can refinance it, so this is a one-shot deal, so
And it's a one-time opportunity.
one-time
right?
opportunity.
Okay.
And that opportunity only exists on January 15th, is that right?
Correct, just for this specific.
Yeah.
Well, I support it.
Legislator Adamizio.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask you, since Homestyle is already there, would you give them preference before putting out an RFP, or do you have to do an RFP?
I think an RFP is in everyone's best interests, including Homestyle and the community at large that might be interested in bidding on it. As far as preference goes, an RFP will have evaluation criteria built into it, And I think their preference would kind of come out in the evaluation, in their familiarity with the property, and our familiarity with them as a vendor versus somebody new coming in. That doesn't mean, however, that, you know, after checking references and everything, it doesn't end up on the same playing field. Certainly, we go out to bid or RFP. Our goal is always to try to attract competition so that we know when we make an award, it's been done on a pretty level playing field.
And who makes that decision after the RFP comes in?
Ultimately, we'd have to establish an evaluation committee, and the evaluation committee would report their technical review results back to me. They wouldn't be provided with the financials of it. Purchasing would use a formula, standard formula for determining the weight of the cost proposal portion of their bid, and then a scoring metric would be completed, and the high score would be the intended recommendation, unless other factors came into play with, you know, references or other instances that we wouldn't want to recommend to the legislature or the county executive. And the type of award that we would make, one of them would be just a lease agreement with an individual, and I know that the leases do have to come before the legislature, and we'd have to have a lot more dialogue as to what that arrangement would be if that becomes the direction of how it would be awarded.
Anyone else have questions for the Commissioner? Representative Crowley?
I just wanted to point out too, we had 53 vacancies now that we have throughout the county. So that's also afforded us the ability to save a substantial amount of funds to be able to pay off a bond like this. You know, it's unfortunate with it that we are not competitive and able to fill those places, but it has been able to provide us some funding to be able to pay off, you know, this bond if I support it, and I think it's a great idea, and save the county and the taxpayers a little money, but just, you know, that is something that's given back to our party fund balance, as it's referred to as.
Anyone else? Okay, what's the next step in this process? I mean, we have to deliberate and decide.
Yeah, you have a lot to digest. Your decision is then going to really then put the ball in our court, and I think we would still have a lot of conversations. There's our DEP agreement, our capital plan that has some projects slated for that property that would all have to be contemplated in how this award would play out. So the earlier we got a decision, the earlier we could start talking about those other things that influence the document that we put out for solicitation.
Can I ask a question? Between these two scenarios, scenario one and scenario two,
Yes.
what's the difference in issuing an RFP from one scenario to the other? I mean, scenario one pays off partial, and scenario two pays off the whole.
So scenario one would just be the golf portion of that bond when we took it out. Okay, so worst case scenario, well, not worst case scenario, but if you decided to go conservative in scenario one, that still is going to give us the ability to do what John said. Scenario two is a little bit more aggressive, but it also is getting the entire $4.7 million off our books to open us up to other future, capital expenditures and investments.
Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but the $4.7 million includes more than one bond issuance?
Correct.
At one point in time, after the county acquired the property, a bond was issued for the purchase of golf course equipment. And so those were also tax-free municipal bonds.
Correct.
So both of them would have to be paid off in order for us to go out with the new style of solicitation that we're recommending.
So one scenario would be just the golf side, and the second scenario would be the whole.
The golf and
the golf
and any bond issuance
Any
that
bond.
had anything to do with that property.
It would just free it up.
it would free it up, and it would relieve us of that, the safe harbor provisions, and allow us to receive different style of proposals and award such.
Anyone else have questions?
Just different style proposals and award such for the contractors that we contract with to operate the golf course and the catering. Is that what you mean, because we're restricted?
It could be,
That-
it could be anyone. We wouldn't restrict it to any one particular vendor. I think, we'd have to talk about this, but I think it would be in the county's best interest to make an award to one contractor. Right now, we have 3 contracts that are all involved in some level of management of that property. So I think that there would be a benefit for the county to only have one person or one entity to deal with. And that entity could be one of the 3 operators that are there today, or somebody new that puts in a proposal that is deemed acceptable.
So I just, I've been very critical, if I may, through the chair, critical of the golf course, any expenditures, but this is a different scenario, hopefully saving us money.
Yeah.
Efficiency, the liability,
There's a lot of
accounting.
There's a lot of indirect costs that are really not measurable that go away. And that's where the efficiency that Mike is talking, I think, is gained, because a lot of the things that we're involved in today, under the new scenario, we wouldn't necessarily have to be involved in unless that was the desire of the county. And anything that we would want to be involved in, we would have to call out appropriately in the solicitation. A good example of that, and I think one that would be supported, would be ensuring that there was still a resident rate at the property, right? Resident versus non-resident is very common in the golf industry, so you wouldn't want people who are paying a reduced rate today, all of a sudden their prices double or something like that. So those are all things that we would be talking about as to how to structure in that document. But that's just my opinion, that you might have different feeling on that altogether.
If I may, before we get to that document, you have prepared information for me in the past, not to date, and I think what I've always been looking for in regard to the golf course is exact cost for the acquisition of the property in 2003, 2004, which was, our cost was, I think, $5 million.
11 point.
But 6.5 of that was the watershed.
So the entire purchase was made using the water quality improvement funds that was negotiated as part of the watershed agreement with New York City. Subsequent to using those funds to acquire the property, the county issued bonds to pay back the water quality fund $5-point-something million that went back into the water quality fund.
So there was the $5 million bond.
So it was a split between the watershed agreement funds for open space and the county investment in the bond issuance that ultimately resulted in the purchase of the property.
I'm still going to be critical of this. We're still going to be friends, right? I like the idea of saving money and want to explore this idea further. But again, I think for the public's interest, we need to review everything from the inception of the golf course, and that's year-by-year operating subsidies from the county budgets, breakdown of capital improvements, equipment rentals, and construction work. We did have that mishap with a landscaper wage theft case for $46,000 that we had to foot the bill for. The ARPA funding mishap at $400,000, which was confusing to say the least for the public. The Legislative Audit Committee, we've approved things over the years piecemeal. I'd like to have a comprehensive outline of all that. And anything we funded to date, because this has always been a big deal for me. Because over especially since, like, for example, last week we just approved an early childhood learning center appropriation, and now we're talking about people want that on my side of the county. We have no transportation on my side. We continue to put money into this golf course since we acquired it in 2004. It's occasionally termed profitable. I really have not been able to lay all the finances out to see that it is profitable. I know we're in the black now, but when you compare that to all the expenses and the bonds that we just laid out, so frontline services struggle with underfunding throughout the county. We can't hire nurses, we can't hire DAs, we can't recruitment because our wages and benefits are non-competitive. And I just always wonder with this, is this the best use of our limited resources? And I want to get to that with this new plan to pay it off. But I still, I'm going to fight for more services and not money for the golf course.
So through the chair, there's an awful lot in that, but I think a lot of the things that you said, that historical information, that's an exercise that we're going to have to go through, because anybody who wants to make a proposal to the county under this new scenario is really going to want to know that. They're going to want to know the condition of the equipment, the condition of the kitchen equipment, the golf course equipment, it. So there's a lot of work to be done. It's not just putting a document out on the street, and that's part of the reason we're here this early, to kind of get everybody's wheels thinking in the same direction, because there's a lot of work that needs to take place to put a very transparent document out there so that we can get the very best result for the county. And if there's anything specific that that you're looking for, any members of the legislature want to see, please just put it in an email, and I'll do my best to track it down, whether it's coming from DPW, finance, or our procurement record.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any member of the, let me just open up one more time for another legislator. Okay, anyone from the public, questions or comments regarding this agenda item? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Interesting discussion.
Thank
That's
you.
fine.
Mike, you're not done.
I know.
All right, so moving on to agenda item 6A. This is correspondence from the Commissioner of Finance. 6A is an approval for a budgetary amendment, 25A-049 for the sheriff for BCI to acknowledge a grant award. We did review this in the detective, the amount of $4,500. I see our undersheriff here this evening. I don't know if you wanted to comment on this item for BCI.
HSI? Thank you. This is reimbursement from the HSI, where we assign an officer when they request one to assist with an investigation. They reimburse us for its time.
Okay, and this is just a reimbursement?
Yes.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the committee? Any other legislators? Anyone from the public? I will make a motion to approve agenda item 6A. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next is 6B, is approve the budgetary amendment 25A-050 for finance. This is a receipt of state aid for indigent legal services.
Yep.
This is in the amount of $242,118.
This is a 3-year grant that goes through the end of 2026. The total grant is $425,538. So this 242 represents the 2024 and 2025 fiscal years. And then in next year, the incremental difference will be part of our 26 budget.
So this is for 2024, 2025, and next year we'll have another
Yep,
portion.
we'll put that portion in.
Any questions from the committee? Any
For
other
the
legislators?
Legal Aid Society.
Anyone from the public? Okay. So I will make a motion to approve 6B. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 6C is an approval for budgetary amendment 25A-051 Finance. This is funding for the Putnam County SPCA to be recouped upon receipt of grant funds. It was also reviewed in the rules. Did you want to?
Yes, Director Ken Ross had approached the county executive and myself. This is a very similar transaction that was done a few years ago under the previous administration. They went out for a SAM grant. They got it for $50,000. As you'll see, the paperwork is all done and vetted through. But they had asked the county to advance the funds. We would have an IMA agreement with them. When they got the money, they would then give the money back to us, just like they did a few years ago when they got their other vehicle.
So this is funding the county's contribution, and once grant is received, will be reimbursed
Yep.
for that amount.
Just for, advanced cash flow issue.
Okay. Any questions, comments from the
Can I
committee?
just
of the
make a
legislature?
comment? I have a guest here, a gentleman from Puerto Rico who's a 16-year-old junior, and he's shadowing me for the week. And what's of interest to my friend Gabrielle here is this SPCA is the protection of animals and enforcement for cruelty to animals, and we're purchasing a vehicle, correct?
I think that SPCA.
SPCA is purchasing the vehicle.
Will be purchasing the vehicle. Yeah,
So
using these
just
funds.
where he lives in an area that doesn't have many services, here we are protecting our animals, just to fill you in.
Yep,
So welcome, Gabriel.
thank you. Any other questions from the committee, legislators, anyone from the public? Okay, I guess I will make a motion to approve agenda item 6C. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 6D is an approval for a budgetary amendment, 25A 052. This is for DPW. This was also reviewed in physical. This is to amend our capital project for 52405 for sheriff life safety systems modernization. This was also reviewed in physical services. I don't know if the fire sheriff has any questions or any details.
This is
for life safety.
I believe this is the new fire safety
Yeah.
system.
Fire safety, okay, fire.
They,
Intercoms.
Right.
They redid the whole system. It was broken. Couldn't get parts for it anymore, so they installed a new one. I don't know if it ran over, ran under.
They ran over, the cost overrun of $16,000, that's why they're asking for an additional.
Okay, so they're just asking for additional to complete
Finish
this
the
project
project,
for the fire safety. Any questions from the committee? Any legislators? And from the public? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 6D. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Agenda item 6E. Is an approval for budgetary amendment 25A-054 for the health department. This is incoming funding coming from Nuvance to be used for tick removal kits. This was also reviewed in our health committee. They're donating $3,000 for our health department to distribute these kits. I've seen these kits before with some departments. And of course, it's tick season, so it's a good timing for those. Any questions or comments from the committee, any legislators?
Just a thank you to Nuvance.
Absolutely, thank you for that for this. So I will make a motion to approve agenda item 6B.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item 6F. This is for an approval for budgetary amendment 25A-055. This was also reviewed in physical services. This is for the planning department to correct state aid funding source for the New York State DOT Public Transportation Modernization and Enhancement Program. This is in the amount of $137,909. And just
It's just bookkeeping.
Just bookkeeping.
That's really all.
Putting it in the correct lines.
Put it in the correct line to mirror what NIMTIC says.
Perfect. Any questions or comments from the committee? Any other legislators or the public? Okay, I will make a motion to approve agenda item 6F. Do I have a second? favor? Agenda item 6G is an approval for a budgetary amendment. This is for the Sheriff's Department for insurance recoveries. This is for VCI insurance recoveries, and it's going into automotive in the amount of $4,465.21.
Correct.
Under Sheriff, did you want to comment?
It's just a insurance reimbursement for somebody who backed into one of our cars.
Okay, any questions or comments from any legislators? Anyone from the public? I'll make a motion to approve agenda item 6G. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, moving right along, we are agenda item 6H. This is an approval for budgetary amendment 25A 057 for the youth bureau. This is for furniture and fixtures to outfit the new facility. I see our director here with us this evening. Would you please join us and we can discuss this? Ms. Cunningham?
Hello, everybody.
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Janine Cunningham, she's the director of Youth Bureau. All right, I'll let you have the floor. You can.
Sure. So we are so excited to have our own space finally over at Tully Foster Farm. We've been working with a company called Interior Architectural Consultants from through the contract bid process, and we just. Since I've been here 23 years, I've had the same furniture. So I was actually due this year, but what we're doing is with this company, we met, and some of the space obviously is limited to sizes of desks, and trying to get some furniture up the stairs. So we're trying to really do more of the programming downstairs, except for like reception and account clerk. And then upstairs would be staff, meeting space. Downstairs would be really more program space where, we're really trying to do it where we can take rooms and change the furniture depending on what we're doing. Currently now we're having kid programs in office buildings, so we cover chairs with crib sheets for art programs, and we put tarps on the floor so that we don't get paint. So to have our own space to be able to have the kids be kids is so exciting. So we're trying to do like chairs that don't spin, and no fun, right? Yeah, just the little things that we're always like, please stop spinning in the chair because we don't need you falling and cracking your head. So we're trying to really be mindful of what we are going to be putting in the room, how we're going to change the furniture if we needed to on the fly set up for a different meeting, whether it's youth court or, and then we usually have one of our camp programs over at, where are we at? Camarda Park, so to bring that to Tully will be so great to use that space, to be able to have, it's a nice outdoor patio space, that we can do that right there. So, I mean, it's like my dream to have this space and this facility to, really be able to expand programming and, for kids even in the Brewster School District to get right off the bus right there and be able to, take advantage of this facility would be so great, with the animals and everything else there. So, but yeah, so I don't know if anybody had any questions for me about any of the things that we put on there.
So this is for 11 rooms and 1 outdoor space.
Right.
Do you know what the square footage is for the spaces that you're?
I have some.
And we'll be taking anything, will all be brand new.
So pretty much everything it will be brand new is what we're proposing, only because some of the upstairs things have to be built in the room. Because of getting things up the staircase. So some of the stuff that we have now is pretty old, and you wouldn't want to take it. We can leave some stuff behind, but for most of the stuff that we have now currently is pretty old. We have a couple L desks, but they're not going to fit upstairs in the space that we're looking to do. But I do have
square footage of the building?
So
I couldn't find it.
I'm trying to see. show this to
Mr. Tully, do you have any idea what the square footage of the building
I
is?
don't have that with me.
No?
let me
I could
just-
get that for you.
Yeah, we could probably, just trying to see. Would you,
Yeah, I think I have the same thing as
you
you
have
do.
this, yeah.
It's
I
bigger
mean, I
than
have a
Redbox.
bigger
Yeah,
size.
I mean, for 11 rooms, it's gotta be. I just don't know the size of the rooms, it just seems like,
I can show you, this is my drawing, if you want to see, I can,
I have that.
you have that, it's just a little bigger.
The floor plan here. Seems, I mean, it seems very expensive to me, but, you know, I've never had to purchase a building full of furniture
Me
before.
neither, I know.
Um,
And so that includes also, like the TVs, that we can have the tech stuff for like, if we're doing different meetings, smart boards, so that if we're dealing with like a youth court defendant, they could be virtual, doing their intake with us while running a meeting. And that was, for the outdoor furniture as well. And I'm trying to think of what
And this
else.
doesn't include any of the computers or anything?
We're bringing all our
Bringing everything
computers with us and our phones, is what I've been told from Tom Lannon.
I'm wondering, because, I mean, as everyone knows, we have Early Intervention Center, or, excuse me, Early
Learning.
ELC.
Learning Center, correct. And we have to do an entire project there as well with children's furniture. I'm wondering, is there any way to combine these two? Because I know that the health department's going to have to do the same thing. Is there something we can do?
I can address that. The vendor that Janine has been talking about and that provided the proposal is a New York State Office of General Services contract vendor. And so we could give that same vendor information to the health department for the Early Learning Center. There would be no additional discount because the prices are already based upon the New York State volume on that contract. And the Early Learning Center, the children are
Younger.
much younger. And so Valerie is currently in the process of trying to source some sample
Yeah.
furniture, and we'll be back to you, I'm sure, on that conversation.
Yeah, I just wondered if this is, I wonder if the square footage is comparable. I'm just trying to.
I sent out a text. I don't know if I'll get it before the meeting
Okay.
ends.
Any questions from the committee? Anyone from the legislature have questions or comments about the furniture for the Bureau? Okay, anyone from the public? Okay, and this is in the amount of $95,000. So we could possibly just do the partial and then do the, there to be benefits and waiting for the summer outdoor furniture, when it is going to be coming in.
They said it would, the lead time would be about 6 to 8 weeks
6 to 8 weeks, so
To
we're
get
going to be
the-
missing that
to get the furniture.
outdoor window probably.
Right.
So would that go into storage then, or what would we do with the outdoor furniture once it comes in?
Yeah, that would just be up to DPW to probably store it, if we had to.
I'm just worried a little bit about the opposite. In the current environment, is it going to be harder to get things in if things kind of pick up a little bit? The trade routes and things like that. Just wondering. I don't know if anybody can answer that question. I'm just,
Right.
we saw things slow down at other times.
And they'll be more expensive.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's definitely
Yeah.
true, so.
You want to lock
I thought I
in
read
the
that you
prices
weren't getting the
before.
outdoor. You are getting, sorry.
We put it
Didn't do
in,
the
that was
check.
something that if we had to take out
Okay,
at
they
this
had
time.
to take it out.
Yeah,
We
I
would
think
take
it's like
that out.
11, what is the outdoor space? The outdoor space is priced at $16,767.
I'm sorry. I would imagine the prices are just going to go up, and I can't imagine, you want to, the purpose of being at Tilly Foster Farm is to have that outdoor space available, and, okay, so we're prepared, ready to go next year with the furniture ready to go, is my theory. And I thank you for doing this. I'm really excited for The kids.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think, I'm comfortable with this. I think it's a comprehensive, you're moving into new space. The furniture that you are leaving behind, I'm sure will have a use to other county departments. And I think doing a piecemeal might, for the reasons that were said, might not be advantageous. And, even though it's, coming out of contingency, that's sometimes what contingency is for. And so I congratulate you on getting a new home
Thank you.
and for the work you do.
Thank you. Thanks.
Fully support it.
Thank you. You might not have to put the furniture into storage because it could be safe to leave out all year, especially if it's aluminum. I don't know what it is. If it's, does it say on here?
It's, I don't know. I should
Because if
have
it's
brought-
aluminum, it's rust-free.
I believe it's, we're
Not
going to be
how-
able to leave it
Yeah,
out. It
so
would
it-
just be the umbrella if there,
Right,
an umbrella
of course.
if we needed that. So.
Right.
But that, we were just going to purchase on Amazon.
Right, because a lot of furniture can withstand the winter.
Right.
Being Irish, I can probably get away with this, but what's the Irishman that stays out all winter? Patio furniture.
No, it's really cute. I'm looking at the rendering here, and this little Adirondack chairs, like tables with chairs all around. It's really nice, maybe a game in the middle. It looks very nice. Anybody else have questions or comments regarding this? Anyone from the public? Okay, thank you for this.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you
I can't
so
wait-
much.
I can't wait to have a tour.
Yes,
When you're
I
there.
know. We can't wait for the ribbon
Yeah.
cutting. Yes.
So with that, I will make a motion to approve agenda item 6H in the amount of $95,000
Go in
for
the Zen room.
furniture for the interior building. All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Okay, agenda item 7 is an approval for fund transfer for the health department to pay out accruals for interim commissioner of health. This was also reviewed in personnel. Commissioner Lewis, did you want to just touch on this? We did review this in personnel.
Sure, this was for Dr. Mike, as we all know. This was just his time that was accrued, and he just wants to be paid out. We're going to pay him out at the rate that he would have, what he retired at. That's really what it came down to.
And there's zero fiscal impact.
Correct.
It's the amount of $38,622. It's being used, taken out of our agency lines for the public health nurses, which is unfortunate, but we have to use the money, so it's
Correct.
good enough that we use it. Any questions or comments regarding this? Anyone from the legislature? Anyone from the public? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 7.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, agenda number 8. This is an approval for fund transfer for the Board of Elections. We have additional. I'll make a motion to approve the additional. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
The additional on this one is an explanation. This is for signature. This is not a fund transfer, but I think our commissioner has any additional information regarding this. This is putting money back in the lines, or excuse me, transferring money back in the correct lines. It's a budget transfer to leasing and accessories. This is for Tenex annual lease and support that was originally budgeted in the computer equipment line because the annual charges were listed on the original quote. Clear balance $2,000 per election ballot definition file. Creation was previously budgeted in contract. This contract and the BDF creation was removed from the contract addendum because there's pricing for this service on the New York State OGS contract. So they will be, both items should be paid from the leasing and accessories budget lines. This is simply a transfer to reflect the
Bookkeeping.
current. Yeah, bookkeeping. And this is only for signature, so this is just an FYI for us. I'll sign this. Do I have to vote on this?
Yeah.
Questions?
Just a quick comment with respect to this item, item 8, also item 14. The Commissioners of Elections, these were both reviewed by rules. The Commissioners of Elections did reach out to me, and I assume you as well.
Yes.
They usually are at every meeting where there's an agenda
Right.
item. But of course, tonight is, and last week, it was early voting. Tonight's the night before an election. So they are doing their job tonight,
Yes,
and
they are.
as they always do, and I'm sure they would have been here as they always are, but that's just one of the reasons why they're not here.
Thank you
Just
for
totally-
pointing that out.
totally
I
understand.
appreciate that.
Yep.
They've been working hard, but I'm sure they'll be happy in another week or so. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Okay, so I will make a motion to approve this for signature. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. This is for agenda item number 8. This will be the same explanation, same explanation for agenda item 14. Moving on to agenda item number 9. This is an approval for a fund transfer for senior resources. This is a pay differential for the OSR staff working out of title. This was also reviewed in personnel. I see we have our deputy director, Kevin, here with us this evening.
Good evening.
Did you want to?
Any questions? So we had 2 retirements that came very quickly that we weren't necessarily ready for. So this is just a little extra funding for the pay differential for the staff we're covering for them. We've just hired someone, we actually stole someone from DSS, and we're working on the second.
And this is only until.
Encouraged.
Yes, borrowed.
Only until they come back from their vacancy, or?
No, so the fund transfer is just to cover the pay diff for the lower grade employees.
Okay. Questions or comments? Any other legislators? I see you brought your family, good to see you.
Yes.
Welcome.
They've loved it.
Good to see you.
Riveting, I'm sure.
See you out in action.
Yeah. They're very excited.
Item number 5, right?
Yes, the golf course was very exciting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
At least it's air conditioned in here.
Okay, so with that, I will make a motion to sign. This is for signature as well. Agenda item number 9, in the amount of $17,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, number 10 is an approval for a fund transfer for the health department. This is to bring back retired employee for succession training. This is a temporary position that was also reviewed in personnel. This is in the amount of $35,000. This is for the fiscal tech who will be retiring. The fiscal tech is retiring in June, or did
June.
retire.
June
And-
June 27th this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then we'll be working as temporary to train our new fiscal
Correct.
manager, is that correct?
Correct.
And this is, there's 0 fiscal impact. Any questions or comments? Public, any questions or comments?
Because of the, as it was explained last week, the 35,000 also represents the cap that you can make based on the age of Medicaid care.
Correct, thank you. Okay. Any no other questions or comments, I will make a motion to approve agenda item number 10. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 11 is an approval for a fund transfer for the health department. This is also to bring back a retired employee that was reviewed in personnel. This is for the senior fiscal manager. Also, this is a senior fiscal manager retiring June 26th and will return on an hourly salary to continue work to support the health department's fiscal and administration needs and all finance department needs, including budget preparation and submission. This was also reviewed in personnel. That's about it.
Seasoned veteran.
Seasoned veteran.
Yeah, just a
Representative Birmingham.
quick point on the same, on item number 10, I imagine. I think it's great that some of our employees want to come back and train their successors. And it's worth noting that both in 10 and 11, both of these are 0 fiscal impact. I don't know the answer to this, but I'm sure it's because the newer position or the newer person probably is not the same step or grade as the one retiring, so that's where the savings are being
Correct.
recognized. So it's, I just think it's worth pointing out that there's no fiscal impact and that that we have the benefit of years of
I
experience.
mean, I think these 2 individuals combined, I mean, it's like a Batman Robin team. I think they've been doing this for like 60+ years between the 2 of them, so it's a lot of institutional knowledge.
Exactly.
And we need them going into the 26 budget, so,
And they're willing to help us.
yes, definitely.
Any other legislators? Legislator Montgomery?
Do we have replacements for them yet? Are they training people yet?
I would defer to health on that, I don't know that yet.
Okay. And hopefully, if not, a job spec has gone out for advertisement for the public, so we can get somebody in, because it's hard to make up for 65 years of
Yeah.
knowledge.
Well, I have rooted interest because these are the two people that
Yeah.
I work with, you know, and
You
my
get
staff works with,
You
so.
get to interview? You should be on the interview. Sorry, just recommending that you be on the interview panel.
We'll see.
Working with the health budget, there's a lot of different, a lot of intricacies with the health budget.
Absolutely.
So, glad they're sticking around for that. Okay, any questions, comments from anyone else in the public? All right, I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Agenda item number 12. It's approval for a fund transfer for the health department. This is to pay out accruals for retirement. This was reviewed in personnel as well. This is for accruals again for the senior fiscal manager. Again, zero fiscal impact. The total amount is $25,825, and this is for the retirement, this senior fiscal manager retirement. Questions or comments from the committee? Any legislators?
If I can just point out the obvious, I mean, if we didn't take it from this line, we'd have to take it from another line, because obviously he deserves the payout. But
Right.
again, it's very unfortunate that we have to take it out of this line because of a vacancy, a public health nurse vacancy, two public health nurse vacancies. So again, I think when we think about how we're spending our money on golf courses and we look at this crisis that we've had for a long time now, yet we're so proactive about that golf course and investing in it, and we've not been proactive about investing in the people of this county. Golf courses versus people.
Any questions or comments from the public? All right, I will make a motion to approve this item, number 12. Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Number 13 is an approval for a budgetary transfer, 25K165 from finance. This is for railroad station maintenance costs. That was also reviewed in physical. This is in the amount of $20,798.
Yeah, just one quick point, although this is ministerial and a budgetary housekeeping item, I'm going to abstain from this as a payee. My firm does certain limited legal work for them, so at the abundance of caution, I'm just going to abstain from this.
Thank you. So, did you want to comment on this?
This is just, this is one of the ones that are hard to project. It's like crystal ball stuff, but we did a conservative 3%, but based on the CPI that they calculated, which was about shy of 4%, there was an incremental difference that needs to be made up, which is this $20,798. So we budgeted 1.2 million, so not terrible.
Right.
Only 20 grand off.
So we're required to do the maintenance.
Yeah, this is a requirement under the Public Authorities Law, the annual maintenance for the MTA.
Okay. So, any questions or comments from any legislators? Legislator Montgomery?
And this is for all of our stations throughout Putnam? Or is this for one station in particular?
I believe it's the whole countywide.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's for all Metro North Railroad passenger stations located in Putnam County. And the timeframe is April 1st, 2024 through March 31st, 2025.
Which is their state fiscal year.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from the public? Please approach the podium, state your name, town in which you reside.
Just a simple question. You said it's a requirement from who?
The MTA.
The MTA? And
Yep.
what's the requirement is what, that we have to maintain maintenance of the railroad stations within the county?
We pay the MTA for the maintenance of that.
Now, is there a certain percentage, or do we cover all of that cost and that goes to the MTA?
I think there's a calculation that they do. I don't have that in detail, but it's
Contribution.
it's our contribution
Yeah.
pretty
It's not
much
all of it.
to that.
Okay, all right, cool, thank you.
Just to mention, there was an increase of 46,951 over last year's maintenance.
3.9997%.
That's Brett, in case you didn't know.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Sometimes I just have questions.
With that, I will make, legislator.
No,
items here?
sorry,
I'm sorry,
no.
raise your hand.
No, no.
Okay. With that, I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 13. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And one
And
abstention.
one abstention. Yeah. Okay, all right. Agenda item number 14, this is an approval for signature. This is, again, we discussed this previously for the Board of Elections. This is to cover, just to put their amounts in the correct budget lines for postage into licensing and accessories. This one is for the Tenex license Guardrail. This is in the amount of $1,000. Questions or comments from any legislators? Anyone from the public? Any motion to approve agenda item 14 for signature?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Number 15 is FYI. This is a confidential report regarding our guardrail and property damage. It's for your review, and once you're done reviewing it, please shred it. Number 16 is other business. We do not have any other business, but,
Sorry, I just want to let you know, John Tully texted me the Youth Bureau, the space
Oh,
is
square
about
footage.
2,800 square feet.
2,800 square feet. Okay, that's like a house. Okay. What is a house?
Whose house?
Should we reopen the?
I know, should we reopen that? I would like to have that for my house.
Money well spent.
Yeah, absolutely. So 25 years ago, I had this furniture for, I mean, she said she had
Probably
23
not
years.
made the same way it used to be.
Huh?
Probably not made the same way it used to be.
Yeah,
Mhm.
this is going to get a lot of use from our children in Putnam County. Okay, with that, I will make a motion to adjourn. Have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.